कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत श्री गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोरधाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। मायापुर नवदी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। समवेत भक्त मुंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Guru and Gauranga.
Jai, Jai, Jai. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
And welcome to everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends. It is Wednesday, May 15th, 2024 in New York. And we're reading in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 31. Tonight, starting with text number 31.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tadartam kurute karma yadbadho yati sangsritim. Yo nuyati dadat klesham avidya karma bandhanaha. For the sake of the body, which is a source of constant trouble to him, and which it follows him, because he is bound by ties of ignorance and fruitive activities, he performs various actions which cause him to be subjected to repeated birth and death. Purport: in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that one has to work to satisfy yajna or Vishnu, for any work done without the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a cause of bondage. In the conditioned state, a living entity accepting his body as himself forgets his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and acts on the interest of his body. He takes the body as himself, his bodily expansions as his kinsman, and the land from which his body is born as worshipable. In this way, he performs all sorts of misconceived activities which lead to his perpetual bondage in repetition of birth and death in various species. In modern civilization, the so-called social, national, and government leaders mislead people more and more under the bodily conception of life, with the result that all the leaders, with their followers, are gliding down to hellish conditions, birth after birth. An example is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Andhayatandayar upaniyamanaha. When a blind man leads several other blind men, the result is that all of them fall down in a ditch. This is actually happening. There are many leaders to lead the ignorant public, but because every one of them is bewildered by the bodily conception of life, there is no peace and prosperity in human society. So-called yogis, who perform various bodily feats, are also in the same category as such ignorant people, because the Hatha Yoga system is especially recommended for persons who are grossly implicated in the bodily conception. The conclusion is that as long as one is fixed in the bodily conception, he has to suffer birth and death. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shulakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistang Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyas Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So where we left off before, we were talking about the development of the body and life of the conditioned soul after he's passed through hellish conditions, both in the hellish planets and then in the womb, and then he's born, becomes forgetful of all of the nice prayers that he offered in the womb, in case he did offer any. And now it just goes from one thing to another as it becomes more and more entangled. Here we're hearing about the results of his activities, which, though he thinks they will bring him happiness, if they're on the platform of the body, they just bring suffering, which reminds me of another verse. Nunang pramata kurute vikarma yadindriya priteya aprinoti nasadu manye yata atmano yang asan apikleshada asadeha. This is 554. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body which, although temporary, is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken on a material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it not befitting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after another. This is what everyone's doing. It's not very intelligent, but we keep doing it. We keep forgetting, and then we keep going after the same thing that we thought would bring us pleasure, but brings us suffering, and then we forget again, and then we do it again. And we're not getting any help in this department from our, as Prabhupada says, so-called leaders. He likes to use that term, so-called, when he refers to leaders, because you can't really call them leaders in the Vedic sense of the term, because any Vedic qualified leader is supposed to be able to deliver his dependents from repeated birth and death. But the leaders he's referring to are just entangling people more and more by showing such a bad example, really. And that's what we need. We need good examples, and we don't see them in politics, no matter how many. Anyway, all right, Krishna. Maharaj, we'd love to hear from you if you're able to comment there. It looks like you're operating in a darkened situation.
Yeah, that's Andaya Tandaya Paniyamana. But this is really a capsule of our material situation. Tadartam krute karma, one performs activities or one works. Tadartam, for the sake of the body. And yadvaita samskritam, one becomes bound to the body, bound to the expansions of the body, and the body, yo anuyati, the person who's engaged in the bodily concept of life, yad anuyati dadat klesham, he just gets trouble, and avidya karma bandhana. What is that Prabhupada quoted? Avidya kama kama be. Same thing. By acting in ignorance, avidya, without Krishna consciousness, without remembering his eternal relationship with Krishna, avidya, karma bandhana, one becomes bound by what he's doing. And yes, sankritim, he winds up in repeated birth and death. That's his destination. Enough. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Let's see. I thought it was interesting here, Maharaj. I don't know if you want to comment on this, but Prabhupada, when he stops talking about the so-called leaders, immediately he starts talking about the so-called yogis who perform various bodily feats. He says they're in the same category, which is, might be very surprising to some people, but Prabhupada just says this is the same business.
And if you give him some more space, he'll talk about the so-called philanthropists, because they're working for the body. The yogis are busy in the bodily activities, the philanthropists even more so for the body. The leaders are working for the body, the followers are working for the body, the scientists are working for the body, all the so-called learned people are bound to the bodily concept of life, using their intelligence for doing something for this body. So they don't get any credit from Srila Prabhupada, certainly. Their only credit is that they're increasing the bondage of birth and death.
Krishna, Krishna. Saraswati Mata says, Pranams. Srila Prabhupada states in fourth canto, chapter 29, 76 and 77, that a person may be enjoying the body of president, but when he understands that he will be forced to accept the body of a dog or hog, he chooses not to leave the present body, therefore lies in a coma many days before death. So she asks, does this mean the soul near death knows definitively what the next body will be before quitting the present body while lying in a coma?
Well, it doesn't go so far as to say he has definitive knowledge by any means, but it seems that that some souls, there's not, this doesn't appear to be a universal statement. Some souls know that they're going to be put into the body of a hog or a dog. That means they may not know exactly, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Maybe they know I'm going to take this body or that body, or they may just know, now I'm in trouble. Now I'm in trouble. So they don't want to go. They don't want to go. So then they try to stay. And then they're hanging on for dear life. Just we were hearing the soul, he doesn't want to leave the womb. He knows where he's going. He's going to get in deep trouble. That's, of course, from knowledge, but here, out of ignorance, the same thing. He doesn't want to go. So he's holding on, but he can't hold on. So he's neither here nor there. He's not yet taken to the next lifetime, but it's imminent. He's going to have to leave. So meanwhile, he's in a coma. Or sometimes Prabhupada says that someone's in a coma means that the authorities are deciding where to send him. So either way.
Jai, thank you, Maharaj. If it would be all right, could I read Srila Vishwanath's brief commentary on this verse?
Please.
He says, for his body, tad artam, he performs actions by which he becomes bound, yad badha. That body continues to give suffering, such as hell, to the jiva, and becomes bound by karma through ignorance. His foolishness is that by doing sinful actions, the body gives suffering.
So hell, even in this life, they do things that makes their life hellish, that it brings suffering to them. And in the next life also more suffering.
Krishna, Krishna. Saraswati Mata continues, extends her question, but sometimes even devotees remain in a coma too. So can they be liberated after being in a coma?
Oh, yeah. I remember here in London many years ago, one of my God's sisters broke into the temple room while I was giving Bhagavatam class and said, Vilasan is dying, we have to go. One of our God sisters, Vilasini Dasi, who'd been the pujari here for Radha Vandanishra, was in a hospice and was seemed on the verge of death. And so we rushed to the hospice, and yes, there she was, and she'd been in coma, and she was still in coma. So we began chanting, and she was on the verge of death. She was white as snow, and clearly on the verge of leaving. And so we began kirtan, and after we were doing kirtan for just a couple of minutes, she came out of coma. and asked for her beads. So apparently, what it seems is that without the devotees there, well, I might as well be in coma because there's nothing here. And then when the devotees came, then she sat up and just played, showed that she was appreciating the kirtan and called for her beads and so on. So a devotee can, even in this life, come out of a coma, or just leave from the coma to a next fortunate destination.
Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing that. So nice.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. And Gurudas Prabhu has a devil's advocate position to bring up here in answer to Prabhupada's purport for the verse we just read. The devil's advocate says, "What do you mean? I'm a leader and I am working for my constituents, the people that elected me. How can you unfairly say I am doing this only for sense gratification? To me, I'm just giving back, yada, yada, more election year nonsense," he says. "Meanwhile, you Hare Krishnas seem to be only about collecting money and making more adherents to your cult. You don't seem to be doing anything for the people in general."
Yanusha Sarvabhutana Tasyam Jagrati Samyami Tasyam Jagrati Bhutani Sanusha Pashato Munehe. In Bhagavad Gita, what's day for the self-realized person is night for the fool, and what's day for the fool is night for the self-realized person. So the operative word there is seems, because you're in ignorance. It seems to you that you're doing something very beneficial for your constituents, or it seems to you that we're doing nothing, wasting our time, doing nothing for anyone, because you're in ignorance. So what can you understand? But from this verse, we understand that of course, you're claiming to do something for the people. Mostly you're picking their pockets and giving them broad platitudes or slogans. We give you change, or we give you stability, or we give you blah, 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 and blah. Well, vote for us and we'll give you happiness. Like prostitutes, choose me, I'll make you happy. That's the politician. Choose me, I'll make you happy. So, all right, you're giving something. The prostitutes, we choose you and you give us some happiness. And what is that? Then you get venereal disease, or you get, in one way or another, entangled. Thanks for choosing me. But we know you had a choice today, and we're grateful to you for it. Anyway, so we choose, and we get some illusion of happiness. And then after 5 minutes or 4 years or whatever it is, the show is over. And then again, we're not satisfied. And so perhaps again we hear, choose me, choose me. So there's nothing worth choosing there. You're offering sense gratification only, and sense gratification doesn't satisfy the soul. Even your sense gratification doesn't, who's satisfied? So many people don't even vote because, what is there? And then the rest are voting because sense gratification will come from here, sense gratification will come from there. So you're helping us in karma bandhana, coming entangled more in the material energy. And the devotees are giving actual knowledge. It's like Prabhupada said, you go to a court, a laborer goes to the court and he sees that this man is sitting on the bench doing nothing. I'm working, working with a jackhammer or something. Here's this man, he just sits. So he doesn't, the man doesn't know that the judge has a higher responsibility, higher understanding. He thinks that just working with a sledgehammer or a jackhammer, that's a contribution to society. What can you expect from a dull person? He can't understand these things. But an intelligent person will see, yes, well, the judge is doing this, that. So the devotees, they're the Brahmins. They're the thoughtful persons. The persons who can think make the greatest contribution. The head is more important. The head is giving knowledge. The head is giving understanding. And so the head can give direction. But you can't understand that. That's your misfortune. Hare Krishna.
All right, Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Tulsi Priya, you have a hand up.
Yes, Jai Maharaj. All glories to the assembled devotees. The story about the Mataji who was in a coma and leaving her body reminded me of another story that I had heard many years ago. I would say at least 20, maybe closer to 30. And I don't remember a lot of the details except that a devotee, male devotee, found himself in what may not have been a clinical near-death experience, but in his mind it was a near-death experience. Perhaps he was in an accident, or I don't know. But while he was unconscious, he saw Yamadutas, and he said to himself, well, I'm wearing Tulsi beads, so I'm protected. And then in his consciousness of the Yamadutas, one of the Yamadutas came up to him and hooked his finger around the Tulsi beads and snapped them and laughed in his face. And he said that was a big wake-up call for him. He came out of his coma or whatever it was, his unconsciousness, and he says he cannot. It was a wake-up call for him to literally to not rely on such assurances in the sense of being lazy or complacent. And the reason I'm mentioning that is that I'm wondering, when you said that the authorities are deciding your fate, I was wondering, do Yamaraj or whoever is making these decisions, I guess if it's not Krishna themselves, are they aware of everything in our lives? Like, let's say if you're in an accident and then you're in a coma, well, an accident is an unexpected thing, even though it's your karma to be in an accident. So I'm thinking, if they're deciding your fate, is that because, if you have a sudden situation, they're like, oh, we weren't, this person is leaving untimely, so now we have to figure it out, or is everything understood by all the demigods and they're aware of the past, present, and future of every individual?
Yeah, I was wondering what it means they're deciding your fate. Why does it take so long? Of course, long by our measure is a moment for the demigods, so that's one thing. And another thing is, how important are we that our fate has to be decided quickly?
Mm.
The laws in this world, if you want justice, you have to wait for 25 years to go through to get a final decision from the court. So if the Yamadutas take another few days, not a big deal.
You're on the wait list.
Yeah, we'll get to you.
Take a number and sit down.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a film where they talk about people who go through near death. It's a comedy film, but it's very short. But they say, I saw a white light, and then I was in this room filled with white light where I was told to take a number and sit down.
Krishna. Thank you. Praveen Krishna Prabhu comments that while in South India, when appreciating a big Panchakarma enterprise for their business model, the senior doctor replied, "We are doing this for service." And Hare Krishna. And Saraswati Mata says, I have heard people say a soldier who is a martyr is a respectful, pious person because he died for Mother Earth. How to reply to them?
The buffalo is pious because it dies for Mother Earth too. Every creature dies, and the body goes to Mother Earth. What's the great contribution that you're talking about?
Hare Krishna. And Panchatattva Prabhu comments in regard to the waiting room for decision of fate. The waiting is also karma. Moray Gupta Prabhu says, Hare Krishna Maharaj, when there is no information from the leaders at any level that we are not our body, how can the general mass of people be blamed for being in ignorance about it?
Well, it's your fault in one sense that you became a citizen of such a place. On account of our karma, we're born in a particular place with a particular set of fools as our leaders. And Prabhupada also said you elected them, so it's your fault. But in any case, that's karma bandhana. I'm working, and instead of being, what would you say, born in a place where everyone is enlightened and so on, I'm born in a place where the leaders are fools. That's Kali Yuga particularly. So I can't just blame the environment. Well, I was born here, I was born there. Why were you born there? Well, that was your the result of your previous activity.
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you. And before we go on to text number 32, just wanted to welcome my godbrother Shaunika Rishi Prabhu. It's his first attendance here in this Sangha. Thank you for being here. Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, are you available to read text number 32? I think that's our number.
Yes, 32, yes. Yadya sabdim pathi punha shishnodara kruto dharmai astito ramate jantum amo vishati purvavat. If therefore the living entity again associate with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people, engage in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and the gratification of the palate, he again goes to hell as before. It has been explained that the conditioned soul is put into the Andha Tamishra and Tamishra hellish conditions, and after suffering there, he gets a hellish body like a dog's or hog's. After several such births, he again comes into the form of a human being. How the human being is born is also described by Kapil Dev. The human being develops in the mother's abdomen and suffers there and comes out again. After all this suffering, if he gets another chance in a human body and wastes his valuable time in the association of a person who are concerned with the sexual life and palatable dishes, then naturally he again glides down to the same Andha Tamishra and Tamishra hells. Generally, people are concerned with the satisfaction of the tongue and the satisfaction of the genitals. That is material life. Material life means eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy, with no concern for understanding one's spiritual identity and the process of spiritual advancement. Since materialistic people are concerned with the tongue, belly, and genitals, if anyone wants to advance in spiritual life, he must be very careful. He must be very careful about associating with such people. To associate with such materialistic man is to commit purposefully suicide in the human form of life. It is said, therefore, that an intelligent man should give up such undesirable association and should always mix with saintly persons. when he is when he is in association with a saintly person, all his doubts about the spiritual expansion of life are eradicated, and he makes tangible progress on the path of spiritual understanding. It is also sometimes found that people are very much addicted to a particular type of religious faith. Hindus, Muslims, and Christians are faithful in their particular type of religion, and they go to church, temple, or mosque. But unfortunately, they cannot give up the association of persons who are too much addicted to sex life and satisfaction of the palate. Here it is clearly said that one may officially be a very religious man, but if he associates with such persons, then he is sure to glide down to the darkest region of hell. Oh, such a nice purport. Prabhupada is pouring his hearts out. I can imagine at the middle of the night, he's dictating this. I've been reading his Lilamrita, and even though having all kinds of difficulties, bad health, but he would just get up at night, in the night, and for our benefit, he wrote all this purport. Such a nice purport. And here, the association is very, very important. The man is known by the company he keeps. It is said that, and it's very true, because you may think that I won't be affected, but at the end, you will be affected. That's for sure. So just be careful whom you mix with. Always associate with the saintly personalities, so your doubts can be eradicated, and you can further situated in faith, Ado Shraddha, that's the beginning of spiritual life. Then Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, and so on. So if you want to really make a progress in spiritual life, always associate with saintly person. And whenever you go to some holy places to visit, just don't just go there and take a bath in river, but associate there with saintly person. Attend Bhagavatam classes, Mangala Arati, chant Hare Krishna mantra in the association of the devotees. Very, very important, and it gives you a lot of benefits. Otherwise, it's just birth after birth cycle of birth and death, old age and disease. And it is also sometimes found that people are very much addicted to a particular type of religious faith, and they go to the church, mosque, temple, but then they have a bad association. What can you do? You wind up in the same thing again, even though you have all this, you are doing this activities by going to church, temple, or mosque. But if your association is not good, forget it. He's sure to glide down to the darkest region of hell. And this, the Andha Tamishra and Tamishra hell is, I think we'll get into there in 5th canto. And it's very frightening to know all these things. And in spite of knowing all this, if we commit suicide ourselves, then what can we say? Hare Krishna.
All right, Krishna. Thank you so much, Mahesh Pandey Prabhu. Maharaj, something you'd care to share on this?
Jantu is the living entity. We've heard him referred to that way even while he was in the womb. Now what the pious or fortunate living entity in the womb feared is now happening. He thought, when I get out, then I'll be surrounded by these materialists and I'll forget everything. And now it's happening. Yadi Asadbi, Asad Sangha. He's, what is that? Asad Sangha Tyag e Vaishnavachar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that the business of the Vaishnava is to give up bad association. Then Sri Sangyeka Shadhu, Krishna Bhaktar. Bad association means the association of those who are addicted to women for sex enjoyment, and those who are not devotees or even averse to devotional service. So asadbhi, pati, if one follows their path, then puna shishna udara krita udyama. Then he's busy in activities that are basically aimed at satisfying the genitals and satisfying the tongue. That's their business. And that may be licit or illicit. The illicit people are eating all rubbish and having sex this way, that way. So they're certainly headed toward hellish life. Or even the pious people, they're going to the church or mosque or mandir, but their business is shishnodara udara, shishnodara udyama. They want happy sex life, and they want their tongues and bellies to be satisfied. They're not serious about serving personality of Godhead. They're serious about serving their genitals and their tongues. So their religion is called Kaitanya Dharma. It's just a display of cheating, that we're religious, we're pious people, we're Christians, we're Hindus, we're Muslims. But what are you doing? What are you doing? All sense gratification, and very often grossly sinful activities. And I call myself a Hare Krishna, I call myself a Hindu, I call myself a Muslim. But when you look at my activities, it's all rubbish. So that kind of cheating, hypocrisy, is not going to lead me to a higher destination. Tamaha Vishati Purvavad. Again, I'll go down to hellish life. We see that even in the Hare Krishna movement. If I again associate with those who are addicted to intoxication, gambling, meat eating, and illicit sex, then again I can go toward hellish life even in this lifetime. So therefore one has to be so careful about association.
Right, Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Tulsi Priya has a question based on that. What exactly does associate mean in this context? If someone is faithful to their religion, then presumably they wouldn't be engaging in the same activities as the man addicted to sense gratification. I'm trying to think of a specific example of someone who is, quote, faithful, yet likely to go to hell.
Well, there's two questions. What does associate mean? And the other is, what is it that, how is it that I'm religious but I'm sinful? So associate means that we intimately come together, or that we come together, what shall we say? We work together for sense gratification. Otherwise associated. just you get on a bus and the driver is not a devotee. That's not association. You say hello to the vegetable seller in the morning. That's not association. But when we get together for some project for sense enjoyment, then that association is there. Or when we associate, Prabhupada said, intimately, closely with the materialists, when we give them our hearts, or when we share with them in various ways. So association. And religious people, they can do all sorts of things. Meat eating, gambling, even sponsored by their religious institution, bingo or what have you. And I was walking with Prabhupada in the Lower East Side, on a morning walk in Prabhupada. We were passing a church, and they had a big sign, bingo. Prabhupada said, "What is this bango?" And I said to Prabhupada, well, Prabhupada, it's a kind of gambling. And Prabhupada said, they allow? I said, they encourage. Prabhupada just shook his head, intoxication, meat eating, illicit sex, gambling. So, and that, bango or bingo, that's mild, but all sorts of, the church barbecue, this is not a pious activity. And the Hare Krishna, even, as a Hare Krishna, I claim to be a Hare Krishna, but I do everything sinful, even grossly sinful, even horribly sinful. And I claim to be a religious person. What is that? And again, a cheating process.
Hare Krishna. Shanikarishi Prabhu says, what if someone gives you a scratch-off lotto ticket as a gift? Would that be gambling?
Well, now, this is a question for the rabbis or something. You haven't invested anything, so you haven't put a stake in. So from that point of view, it's not gambling. But if you're thinking, I could win, now your mind is becoming polluted. I could become a winner in the material world. In the material world, there's no winning. But you're imagining, I could win. So then again, it becomes the mentality of a gambler.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Priyanka Mataji says, is investing in stock market and other related events also gambling?
I was just reading someplace, maybe it was Giriraj Maharaj's book, anyway, that a devotee had taken some money and invested in gold. And Prabhupada reversed him. The devotee, I think it was Shamsundar, invested some money in gold. And he explained to Prabhupada that what some currency had just been untied from something or other, and that the gold was going to go way up. And in fact, it did. But Prabhupada said it was gambling. And, get rid of the gold, sell the gold. So that kind of speculative enterprise, Prabhupada considered gambling. Now, let me just think for a second. If it's one's occupation to invest in stocks and bonds, what can I say? But I don't want to be inventing as we go along, but there's certainly degrees. If you're investing in stock on a high risk basis, or you're busy in speculative buying and selling, that appears to be in the gambling category. Otherwise, there's ways of investment that's really just like putting money in the bank. There's not much risk involved. One isn't even thinking, this will go up, that'll go up. Just sort of safe investment. So I don't have any opinion about that. Or it appears to be not. In one sense, everything is gambling. Business is gambling. Everything gambling. But Prabhupada was careful about it. The idea is that our mind should be on Krishna, not on I could win. You can be a lucky winner. We should be very careful about that.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. A lot of activity in the chat window here. Panchatattva Prabhu, who's now traveling and seeing many such things, I assume, says one church sign read, quote, "Blessing of the animals this Saturday, followed by barbecue."
Mm.
All right, Krishna. And Tulsi Priya says, Prabhupada invested in bonds, I seem to recall.
I don't recall that. Usually Prabhupada, of course, Prabhupada would invest in CDs, what they call fixed deposits, or in America, certified deposits. Prabhupada, which are guaranteed by the bank and so on. They're not, you're not risking a loss there. That's where I saw Prabhupada investing between these. He had money in fixed deposits. Otherwise, he said the best investment is books. That's the real thing. Invest the money in books. And it was a fact, you invest the money in books, those books are distributed. You can make 100% profit. That's typically on a good stock choice, how much do you make? But in distributing books, you make more and more. So probably said family business.
Aye. Thank you. And Saraswati Mata says, government or private pensions accepted by devotees are also from investments that governments do too. So is this unacceptable?
Well, everything's investment. We have a devotee who was explaining to me, because he was involved on the IT level, that every night Bank of America, or whichever bank you're working for, they have like huge amounts of money, and they're investing it for, just for overnight in a particular currency, or a particular this or a particular that, because they're moving that money around to get a profit. Wherever there's money, therefore Kali Yuga was allowed. Where there's gold or where there's money, you can live. So there's, in that sense, everything is polluted, especially in Kali Yuga. Everything is invested with or connected with intoxication, gambling, and so on. And therefore, Kala Dosha Nidhi. It's an ocean of faults. Astiheka Mahankun. The only good thing is Krishna Kirtan. Otherwise, everything else is polluted.
All right, Krishna. Panchatattva Prabhu says, I know devotees who were lured into investments with promises of quick, large returns, and who lost their shirts in the process.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Quick wealth. Yes, we've seen that. Devotees. No, this isn't a pyramid scheme. This is different. It looks like a pyramid scheme, but it's not a pyramid scheme. And then shortly after, the pyramid collapses. So, yes.
Priyanka says, thank you, Maharaj. And she also says, is it due to this reason preaching is said to be very risky, as there is a risk of fall down?
No, the main risk in preaching is that actually preaching, not preaching is more risky than preaching. But there's how much fall down is there for the risk of fall down for those who don't preach? For those who are preaching, they're absorbed in Krishna consciousness. They're always hearing, chanting. So why should the risk be higher for them? But they undertake some risk materially. They give up their homes, they give up their comfortable situation for the sake of preaching Krishna consciousness. Or sometimes they go to a dangerous place. So there may be risk. But that risk for the body is, in one sense, side. Let it go. I may be uncomfortable. I may be vilified, or whatever I may be killed. But all right, it's going to be finished anyway, so let me take some risk for a higher purpose. What is that? Well, without any risk, there's no profit. One may fall down, yes. The devotee takes that risk. That I preach Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we should be careful. Where's the word? Oh, yeah, risk management. Risk management. There's no such thing as no risk. If you're in a business, there's no question of no risk. But risk management, your risk should be minimized. So spiritually, the devotee should be careful. No intoxicants, no gambling, no meat eating, no illicit sex. Otherwise, my risk will be, I'm already, in, what would you say, past the point of risk. But we should be very careful not to associate. That's a big risk, not to associate intimately with those who are addicted to these things. Well, we should be very careful and not take the risk of making the materialistic persons our friends and companions. We associate with them as far as necessary. But that, not Shishna Udarakrita Ujjama, joining in their enterprise for sense gratification. That's the biggest risk.
Hare Krishna. Jai Maharaj, thank you so very much. And we just have a couple minutes left, but a couple quick comments in the chat window. Anantashesha Prabhu says, risk management is huge in the corporate world related to mistakes and injuries at work. And Panchatattva Prabhu says, Srila Prabhupada would not have been blamed by anyone if he just stayed in Vrindavan, but he went out and became most glorious.
Mm.
And
if you want to gamble that way. Gamble everything for, stake the whole farm for preaching Krishna consciousness.
As Madhava Maharaj might say, throw the body.
What? Say what?
Madhava Maharaj used to always say, throw the body. Like dice. Anyway, Panchatattva Prabhu, since it's nice to see you after several days of not, would you be able to lead a kirtan just now?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astottara Sakta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Privrajacharya Astottara Sakta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaura Premanande. Haribol.
Haribol. Thank you, Panchatattva Prabhu, and thank you, Maharaj, for being with us and giving us your association. Thank you, everyone, for being here, for your participation. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Brinda Ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Haribol. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai Maharaj, thank you. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol Madhupati Prabhu Ki Jai. Jai Jai.